for a few more people to trickle in. I'll start with an interesting statistic about webinars and about the number of people that attend webinars based on the number of people that sign up, because webinars is a great source of lead generation. Webinars and workshops is something that we're going to talk about today. So the statistic is that about 40 to 50% of people that actually register for a webinar will go on to actually turn up. So if you are doing your own webinar or your own workshop, it's good to bear that in mind. That's the number of people that will likely turn up. So we've had over 200 registrations for this workshop. So we're looking at hopefully getting about 100 people to attend. We're at 87 now, so we're pretty close. So let's get into it. Let me kick my dog out. Come on, Dave, out you go. He was not helping. So how to create a lead generating SaaS marketing funnel. So that's what we're going to cover today. We're going to go through particularly these top 3 areas of the funnel that I see a lot of SaaS businesses overlooking these days. But before we get into that, I need to give you at least one slide about me. I promise I won't bang on about myself too much. This is not a sales pitch, but you need to learn a little bit about me so that you know that I know what I'm talking about. So I'm the founder of a marketing agency called Rocket SaaS. So we're a content marketing agency, and we work with B2B SaaS companies to develop their marketing funnel and help them generate more leads, get more brand awareness, nurture interest from people, and then progress them through the funnel so that those interested leads turn into sales. We particularly work with companies that have quite limited resources. So we help them create content, create a marketing strategy, and then go on to grow their SaaS business through to seed, series A, B, C funding. So I've worked with over 220 SaaS businesses. We specialize in long-term strategic funnel development. And this workshop is not a sales pitch. It's me teaching you a lot of my knowledge, a lot of my insights on how you can develop a lot of these strategies yourself for your own business. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about what your funnel probably looks like now. We're going to talk about what your funnel should look like. And then we're going to break down the missing funnel elements. That's where we're really going to get into it. We're going to dive into each of the funnel elements that you're potentially missing or you need to really turbocharge in order to get that funnel flowing. So particularly that is the top layer of the funnel, which is awareness. Then the second piece of the funnel, which is the interest piece. The third is nurturing. So just because people are interested in your brand doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready to buy. The majority of people that get to that stage of the funnel are not ready to buy. So you need to nurture that lead, which takes time. It can sometimes take weeks, sometimes take months until they are eventually ready to buy. And then we're going to talk about how to make that funnel flow. So a lot of businesses have lots of these different funnel elements, but there's not really a procedure in place to make people flow through the funnel. So we're going to do a chapter about that. And then if I don't waffle on too much, we're going to do a Q&A session. So if you have any questions that you want to ask at any point in the webinar, you can just go to the bottom of Zoom, type your question, and we'll cover it at the end if we've got time to go through it. Some people have already submitted some questions via email, so I've got some which I will go through. So thank you to anybody that sent those over. But right, let's get into it. So first of all, I want to talk about the marketing funnel and like the history of the marketing funnel. So the marketing funnel was supposedly created way back in 1898. The marketing funnel, it is universal. It can be applied to virtually any business in any industry. If you're a baker baking donuts in a little bakery, or you're some blockchain, cryptocurrency, fintech, you're both going to have marketing funnels in every business in between. And it is timeless. Times change, but the ideas stay the same. Any of you marketers that have studied marketing at university or at school, you would have been taught about the marketing funnel. So my question is, that I've been asking myself a lot recently, is why have so many businesses forgotten about the importance of the marketing funnel? And I think the answer is quite simple in terms of there is increased time pressure. There is, probably some of you on this call will have a CEO that is just putting you under extreme time pressure to generate these leads and generate sales. A lot of that comes from investors. You've just raised a ton of money and you need to immediately start seeing results. Obviously, people have shorter attention spans. That's Gen Zs all the way up to old CEOs. They just want results quickly. So people have that desire for shortcuts. There's a lot of technological advancements that offer these quick wins. And that's what a lot of people are looking for. So for example, those kind of annoying LinkedIn spam bot messages that you get, that's like an example of people just seeking a technology to develop a quick win. But ultimately that is not sustainable for a business. You know, eventually you're going to run out of people to contact, you're going to run out of people to annoy, the shortcuts just don't exist after time. And you're also not creating any assets for your business. If you're just doing cold outreach, your business isn't growing in terms of assets that it's creating. So a lot of businesses, well, all businesses need to go back to the marketing funnel and develop those core principles of how people are attracted to your business, how they flow through various stages of touch points of your business, and then enough people will come to the bottom to become a customer. So what I see the majority of SaaS companies doing now that I speak to is that they're trying to skip to the bottom of the funnel. So the funnel looks like that. The top 3 layers are empty, they don't exist. They just have book a demo, sale. And they're typically spending a lot of money on Google ads, LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, and the ad just says book a demo or book a call with a salesperson. Or they're spending a lot of money on cold outreach, a lot of SDRs. There's a lot of organic content, just trying to get as many people as possible to book a demo. But like I touched on the previous slide, so many people have short attention spans now. We can't change that. But what that means is that if I've never heard of your brand before, I do not want to book a demo with you because I know that's going to take an hour of my time. I know I'm going to be sold to by an annoying salesperson. So I'm not going to give up an hour of my time for a business that I've never heard of before. So if you develop these top areas of the funnel and people have flowed through these areas that you then get to the book a demo stage, that's when people are going to genuinely be interested to book that demo. So this is what your funnel should be looking like, which we're going to cover today. You should have that top layer of brand awareness to get more people aware of your brand. Then you need to progress people down into the next layer of the funnel, which is capturing their interest. So them expressing some kind of interest in your brand, engaging with you, downloading something, having a conversation with you, responding to an email, not necessarily ready to buy, just showing you that they're interested in you. The top layer, you don't know who they are yet. They're just aware of you. The second layer, you are aware of them. But then I see so many SaaS businesses that are losing leads. So many people fall out of the funnel here. I'm sure a lot of people will be aware of this. You've had people that have maybe emailed you, they've maybe downloaded an ebook, maybe they've attended a webinar, and then they haven't gone on to become a customer and you've just sort of let them go. That's where this third piece of the funnel is super important, the lead nurturing piece of the funnel. I mean, people can be in that part of the funnel for weeks or months or even years until they move on to the book a demo and then into the sale, because a lot of companies, they don't have the funding or they're not in the right position or not the right member of staff is there. So you need to keep people there as long as possible until they get on to the next stage of the funnel. So we're going to be covering all of that. And the way that we're going to break down each element of those top 3 layers is the first one being brand awareness, and it's all about creating gifts. So I'll go on to that into the next chapter of this workshop, but it's creating gifts that you give to people for free that then become aware of your brand. And the next layer down the funnel, which is the capturing interest, is what I call developing mini products. So I'll give you some examples of mini products that you can create to get people interested in your business before they're ready to buy your main product or service. And then we'll talk about lead nurturing, which is the third layer of the funnel, which we're going to talk a lot about sequencing that and automating that. because you can't just manually nurture someone's lead over so much time, because that ends up being an annoying salesperson that does that. But you can do a lot of automation and sequences within your marketing to keep people in that funnel. So that's what we're going to cover as well. So the first bit that we're going to get stuck into is the brand awareness piece, this top element of the funnel. Before we get into examples of how to create content for that top element of the funnel, we're going to talk about the buyer journey pyramid. So a lot of you that are experts in marketing might be aware of this buyer journey pyramid, and it's really important to understand this as like a mindset shift in terms of the content that you create and how you speak to your target audience. So the way that the buyer journey pyramid is outlined is that the top 3% of people are in the buying now phase. They are the hot buyers. They are ready to go. Any of you that have spent any time working in sales will probably be familiar with a time when you call someone up and offer your services and they say, oh yeah, good timing. I'm actually looking to buy this right now. But that is obviously extremely rare. So you're very unlikely to find someone in that position. And even if you do find someone in that position, you're probably too late to the party anyway, because they've probably already been speaking to someone else. They've already kind of half made the decision. So you're often too late there. Then the next stage down is you have 17% of people are in the information gathering mode. So they have decided that they've got a problem that they want to solve, and they're currently looking for vendors. They're doing demos, they're speaking to people, and they're on their way to making a decision. So that's a great place for people to be. But again, it's a relatively small chunk of your market. So if you make up these top two areas, it's only 20%. And that's the 20% that most companies are targeting. They're totally overlooking the bottom 80%. So the next layer down is people that are aware that they've got a problem. They're not actively searching for a solution, but they're aware that they've got a problem. So to give you an example of that, someone that works in a HR department, they might be aware that their employee turnover is increasing. There's more people leaving the company this year than left the company last year. That's a problem that I'm aware of. I'm the HR manager. That's kind of my responsibility in the company. I'm aware it's a problem, but I'm not actively seeking for a solution. It's just in my head. I'm aware of that problem. And then the biggest chunk of the pyramid is people that are not aware that they've got a problem. So they're not aware they've got a problem, and they're not aware that a solution is available. So to again give you an example, I think a lot of you probably work in SaaS companies that provide some sort of a data solution or some sort of analytics. So a lot of what you do, a lot of your market, they will be having data in their business, but they won't know that their data is bad. They won't be aware that their data could be a lot better. They're not aware that their data is not speaking to their other data on their other platform. And if it did, it would be a massive improvement for their business. They're just not that technically savvy, for example. They're not experts in data. So they just don't know that it's a problem. So they're not seeking a solution, and they're certainly not ready to buy. So most companies are targeting this top two areas. Book a demo, speak to us. You're probably looking for us. You probably know you've got a problem. Speak to us now. But you're really limiting yourself to only 20% of people. If you do that shift in that mindset where you target people that are aware that they've got a problem, or not even aware that they've got a problem, and you start to educate people about that problem, you then start to generate demand. So demand generation is a phrase I'm sure a lot of you have heard. It's a relatively recent phrase in terms of educating people about the problem rather than educating people so much about your product or your service. And if you can teach people about their problem and how to solve their problem, then you have got an 80% slice of the audience that you can then pick up on, and that you can then filter people through your funnel. So that's a lot of the content that we're talking about today, is how to get people engaged with your brand through solving their problems and helping them with their problems. Okay, so in terms of brand awareness, creating brand awareness content, I call this creating GIFs. So GIFs are pieces of content that you create for your target audience. Now, these GIFs are called GIFs because they are completely free. So they are ungated and there is no exchange of money or data. Like if I tell you that a gift is free, but you have to give me your name, your email address, and your phone number, that's not really free because your data is really valuable to you. So a gift is something that is completely free, no money, no data. And to give you examples of what a gift might be, it could be a blog article, it could be a video, a podcast, a social media post, or an infographic. So anything that you can create and you can publish that people can consume without having to give any kind of data, that is what a gift is. So that's what you need to focus around creating. Now I'll give you some examples of the types of gifts that can be created and how you can go about creating them on the next slides. So the rules about creating an effective gift. So a gift must be niched to your target audience. So I don't want to go and talk about the real basics of marketing and talk about creating a customer persona today, but I do want to say that it must be niche to your target audience. I see a lot of businesses like going too far out of their lane. There's no like strategy to the content that they're creating. So I see like a cybersecurity company, for example, creating content about how to grow your business or mental health in the workplace. You know, all that content's good, but you really need to have a strategy that's really niche to your target audience and niched about your topic. You need to offer value. So you're not allowed to sell. When you're creating a gift, whether it's a blog post or a video or a podcast, no selling yourself or selling your services. You don't want people to think, oh, this is not really a free gift. This is them just trying to pitch to me. You must offer value. It must be insightful or entertaining. And it must help them solve a problem. So that's the key thing. It's a word that I'm going to mention a lot throughout this presentation, is solving a problem. So one of the best exercises that I ever did for my business is I wrote down 100 different problems that my target audience has got. So I did a 2-day session in a meeting room with a whiteboard where I wrote down literally 100. I didn't stop till I got to 100 problems that my prospects have. So my target audience would be marketing managers or marketing executives for SaaS companies. So I might write down 1, really under-resourced. 2, CEO that wants results too quickly. 3, I don't know anything about Google Analytics, but I'm expected to know all this data. I don't have time. 4, I'm expected to design assets, but I'm not a very good designer. So all of these problems, and your target audience will have 100 if you spend a long enough time working it out. And then you pick the top 10 problems that you think will resonate the most with your audience in terms of you creating content. And then that's a great starting point. That's where you can start to create some really insightful gifts that you can help teach people how to solve these problems. You also must have a consistent output. So I see a lot of people just doing one blog post 1 week, and then a month later might do another one when they've got the time, and they'll chuck a video up and maybe do a webinar at some point in the year. But you must be consistent. You must have a strategy to your content. You must really plan this before you get stuck into it and say, we're going to do 1 blog post a week, 1 video every 2 weeks, 1 workshop every quarter, and just really stick to that consistent output, because that will give you a flow that will build your engagement over time. And you must have a call to action to the next step in the funnel, which we'll talk about in the next chapter. So typically your blog post, for example, they should have a banner that promotes people to sign up to the webinar. Or if you're doing a video, at the end of the video, you could say, I hope you've enjoyed this tip. If you'd like to book a strategy call with our founder, here's the link. So you're not selling, but you are just pushing them down to the funnel, down to the next stage. So things like tips, hacks, and guides tend to work really well, particularly around, when you're talking about solving a problem. If you just think about just quick tips, because a lot of these gifts that you're creating, you shouldn't be spending hours and hours creating them. It should be something that is a relatively short piece of content that you can create quite easily. So things like tips, steps, hacks, guides, that's generally a good place to start. So examples of gifts. So I picked 3 typical SaaS industries, and I've tried to give you some kind of real world examples of what a gift might be. So it's understanding your prospects' burning problems and then creating content to help them solve their problems DIY. So that is a key mindset to be in that works really well. So you've analyzed the problem that your prospects got, and then you create content to help them solve the problem themselves. It's not you selling, saying, oh, we're fantastic at solving this problem, you should work with us. It's, hey, we know you've got a problem. This is our area of expertise. This is how we recommend you solve this problem on your own. Free advice, it's a gift. So for example, let's say you've got a cybersecurity SaaS. You should be creating gifts that teach businesses how to improve their security themselves. So you should be creating blog articles or videos or a podcast, for example, where you teach people tips, things like you should be asking your employees to change their password every 3 months. You should encrypt your website database. You should be careful about allowing your employees to take their laptops on public transport if you've got a lot of sensitive information on there. So just little tips that you can help people solve their problems DIY. Or for example, if you were a HR SaaS, you could create GIFs on how to reduce employee churn. So again, you're just looking at problems. If you're targeting HR people with your HR software, then what is a problem that a HR manager has in their business? It's probably employee churn. It's probably things around the silent resignations and all of those things, and it's losing employees. So that's the problem that's going to be in your prospect's mind, is how do I reduce employee churn? So if they were scrolling through their LinkedIn and they started seeing GIFs, videos, blogs, posts, infographics that talked exactly about how they can solve their problem, then they're going to feel like real resignation towards your brand. They're going to engage with you. They're going to follow you. You're going to be interested in you. They're going to be grateful for the help that you've given them. And that will cement you in their minds. That will help them progress down to the funnel into the next stage. And then a final example, let's say you're a fintech SaaS. You're probably targeting CFOs. So what problems do CFOs have? Probably cash flow is an issue in the mind of a lot of CFOs. So work towards creating a series of GIFs that teaches CFOs how to improve cash flow issues in their business. If you work in fintech and that's who you're targeting, you should be an expert in these areas. You should be able to assist people in giving advice. You could talk about R&D tax credits, or you could talk about various grants and all of the energy crisis and all the discounts that have just been announced for businesses, just giving people advice on all the topics that they are interested in. Now we're going to talk about creating and repurposing your GIFs. So you might be thinking, oh, wow, this is a lot of content that I have to create. I don't have enough ideas. You might have feelings of imposter syndrome. Well, there's a great way of repurposing your content so that you don't have to come up with new ideas all the time. You can just take one bit of content and then kind of cluster bomb it out into lots of other bits of content. So the number one benefit of repurposing content is it makes it much easier to scale your content. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to create a lot of content without having to spend a ton of time on ideas and just having a blank sheet of paper in front of you. So you don't have to start from scratch every single time. So the way that we do our strategy a lot here is we start by writing a blog post. So a great example of a blog post is like 10 tips. So 10 tips on how to improve your landing page conversions, for example. So then all I have to do is write 10 short paragraphs. Maybe each paragraph is 100 words. Just got to write 10 of them. When you break it down like that, it's not too hard to do. It doesn't take that long to do either once you're in the flow of writing blogs. And I've got a great article, 10 tips. I post that on our website, post it on our social media, add it to our newsletter, and it's getting sent out to all these places. But then I want to start creating some LinkedIn posts, some daily LinkedIn posts. But what content am I going to create? Am I going to have to start again and create these new ideas? No, I'm going to take those 10 paragraphs from my blog post and I'm going to repurpose them as social media posts. So it needs a bit of a tweak, but you can't just copy the 100-word paragraph and paste it onto your LinkedIn and hit submit, because that's just not very well formatted content for LinkedIn. But you need to just break it up into shorter sentences, make it a bit more snappier, give it a good hook at the beginning, maybe throw in some emojis, maybe even add a graphic that you created on Canva, and then that is your social media post. But the key thing is that you haven't had to sit down and come up with a new idea. You've already got the idea, which is the hardest bit. All you've got to do is repurpose it. If you've got someone that works in your social media team, or you've got an agency that does your social media, you can just give them the blog and say, turn these 10 points into 10 social posts. Done, it's been delegated, and they can do it, and they've got a perfect brief for them to work with. But then it doesn't stop there. So let's say that you have posted your 10 LinkedIn posts over like 2 or 3 weeks. You posted these posts. You then monitor which one performs best, which one's got the most likes, the most comments, the most shares, which one started the most conversation. And then you take that best performing one and then you elaborate on it. So let's give my example of the 10 ways to improve conversions on your landing page. Let's say the number one point that got the most engagement was where I talk about how you should have one core call to action on your web page. It got a load of likes, a load of comments. So I then want to turn that into a video. So I will, you can do it at home, just with your iPhone, record you talking to the camera and elaborating on that point. Why is it really important? What experiences have you had? What actionable steps can the person take in order to solve this problem or take this action themselves? And then you've got a vlog. So from one initial blog, you've now got a blog article, you've got 10 snippets for 10 different social media posts, you've got content for a video, you can also break it up into a newsletter, you can turn it into a podcast episode, you can put it on Facebook, you can put different ones on Twitter, and suddenly that one initial idea is creating lots of different content for lots of different medium. So this infographic kind of explains that. One blog post, emails, video, Twitter, Facebook, and then the list goes on. So that's the mindset to get in when you're creating this content. Don't worry too much about having to come up with new ideas all the time. We're now going to talk about personal branding. So personal branding is something that I see getting overlooked by a lot of businesses, or maybe not overlooked, but it's certainly not being utilized to the power that it could be. There's some really interesting stats about personal branding. So on average, employees have 10 times more followers than their company's social media accounts. I think most of you that work for relatively early stage SaaS companies, I wouldn't be surprised if your company LinkedIn page has like 200 likes. But if you're relatively active on LinkedIn, you'll probably have 2,000. And that's a common statistic across most companies and most people that are active on LinkedIn. When brand messages are posted by employees on social media, they get 561% more reach than the messages shared by the brand's social media channels. Brand messages are engaged with 24 times more than when posted by employees versus the brand's social media channels. People buy from people. People don't buy from logos. When Virgin Active posts something on their LinkedIn, it doesn't do that well. When Richard Branson posts something, it gets hundreds of thousands of likes. That is just how it works with social media. Social is social. It's people to people. It's not company to people. So it is a massive marketing superpower if your business has got somebody in the business that is willing to boost their personal brand and get all of this content out there. It can be you, it can be someone that works in marketing. If it can be the founder, it's usually the founder because it's someone who is very deeply entrenched into the industry, has already got great connections, is really passionate about the problem that it solves, but it doesn't always have to be the founder. But if that person can be very active on LinkedIn, promoting all of the content that you're creating, that will just get much more outreach because people resonate much more with people than they do with logos, like I said. So take my journey, for example. I joined LinkedIn about 10 years ago. My first 9 years, I was a lurker. I hardly posted anything. I just read a few posts. I might log in like once every 2 months. I really didn't do a lot at all. But then this year, I set myself the goal of really getting stuck into LinkedIn. I set myself the challenge of posting every single working day. So every working day, I would do a LinkedIn post and I'd do one video per week. I've been doing that since the start of the year, so almost 9 months now. And it is now the #1 source of revenue for our business. So my team creates a lot of the content along with me, and then I promote it. I come up with a lot of my own ideas I post on LinkedIn, and it's just a fantastic way to build that community and generate those leads. So if you take anything from this workshop, I think it should be to have a meeting with one of your founders or co-founders and just start talking about their personal brand, and can they boost their personal brand. They might say, I've not got time, that's going to take a lot of effort, which is true, but you do reap the rewards. And if you can schedule in the content creation, then you can really get the benefits from it. Okay, moving on to the next chapter of the funnel, which is capturing interest. So all of the content that we talked about previously, all of the gifts, people are now aware of you. They know your brand, they know your logo, they hopefully have a positive feeling towards it because you've helped them solve a problem. They like some of your videos, they've read some of your blogs, they know who you are. But now we need to capture their interest because you don't know who they are yet. This is what I call creating mini products. So mini products are free or low cost. You could pay a relatively small amount for them, but they require an exchange of contact details. So they need to be gated so that you capture their name and their email address, possibly your phone number if you want to do that too. And types of mini products are an ebook or a white paper, an ROI calculator, so maybe a calculator on your website where they enter a series of data points and information. At the end, it spits out the return on investment they would get from potentially working with you. Checklists work well, similar to an ebook. Email newsletters. I see a lot of businesses that are generating a lot of revenue through their weekly newsletters. A strategy call is a great one. So having a strategy call with maybe a founder or one of the sales executives to have a one-on-one conversation. A webinar or a workshop like we're doing now. And live events. Live events are coming back with a bang at the moment. So live events is also a great way to get people interested in your business, and you are aware of them and you're aware of each other. So the difference between a mini product and a gift is a mini product, you need to put a lot of effort into it. It needs to be awesome. Like a gift is something that you can create relatively quickly, a quick tip, something that's just kind of popped into your head. Whereas a mini product, if you're asking people for their data in order to receive it, it needs to be good. It needs to be worthwhile. It can't just be a blog article that you've repurposed into an ebook. If you're doing like an ebook or a white paper, it needs to have some proper unique research gone into it. If you're doing a workshop or a strategy call, it needs to have really good insights. It needs to have maybe guest speakers. It just needs to be a fantastic, that's why I've called it a mini product. It's like launching a new product. It's not something that can be kind of quickly put together. Now, the must-haves of a mini product. It must, again, diagnose and solve a problem, but into much more detail than it did with your gifts. It must go into real deep information and give people actionable steps on how to solve that problem. So if it's an ebook or it's a webinar, they must be able to kind of take that away and put action into their business on how to resolve this problem that you're talking to them about. So it must be like a turbocharged superpower version of a gift. So the assets that a mini product must have a landing page. You need to get people to sign up to it. You need to get people to fill out a form. You can create landing pages with your web developer, or you can create it with HubSpot, for example, if you're using that as a CRM. It must have a PDF brochure. If you have a sales team that are speaking to people, salespeople love PDFs. So if they're having a conversation with someone, they'll say, oh, we'll just send you a PDF about this webinar that's coming up or about this free strategy call. It just helps them promote it. And then it also must have a marketing strategy behind it. The reason it's called a mini product is because it is like a product launch. You know, you wouldn't launch a new product without a proper strategy. I don't want you to just create an ebook or create a webinar and just like chuck it on your website and just hope some people download it or attend. You must have a well thought out strategy behind it. You need to take some budget from your ads away from whatever you're promoting now with your ads and put it into this mini product. Get as many people, as much traffic to it as possible, as many downloads as possible. If you have a sales team that's doing cold calling or email outreach, have a conversation with them and say, rather than promoting people to book a demo, how about you instead invite people to a webinar or ask people to download this ebook? And most people will be very happy with that, to put that into their strategy, because it's just not as cold. If you're giving people something for free, they're much more likely to engage with it. And obviously, you've got other outreach like email newsletters, organic posts, just as many different avenues as possible. Or you can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator to find people that you think specifically might be interested in this webinar, and you can promote people to it as well. So an example of a landing page would be all the ones that you signed up for to join this call. So this is on our website, just a really good, clear summary of what you're going to get from it. Really strong call to action. We've removed all of the menu links from the top so people can't click away and get distracted. So that's a great example of a landing page. And then we promoted this workshop in a big way: outreach, organic, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, sales outreach, everything, to get as many people as possible on this mini product. So examples of mini products. So going deep into your prospects' problems and offering solutions, I'm going to use the same 3 companies that I used previously, the same 3 industries. So if you're a cybersecurity SaaS, create a scorecard for businesses to check their current level of security. So a scorecard is kind of like a questionnaire where you ask people a series of different questions, and at the end they get a result, they get a score, and then they get given actionable insights on how they can increase their score to improve their business. So for example, you might have a scorecard that the first question said, do you ask your staff to change their passwords every 3 months, yes or no? Is your database encrypted? Yes or no? What software do you use to share documents with one another? And then you're just slowly giving them a score. And then at the end, when they completed it, it says, you scored an F. That's very bad. Your business is at a security risk. You should take the following steps to improve the security of your business. If you would like to talk about this in more detail, please book a strategy call with one of us today, and we'd love to talk you through how we can help you. So you're giving people genuine value that they would be happy to pay for, but you're giving it to them for free, and you're giving them actionable steps, and you put a lot of thought and effort into how to create this awesome piece of content. Another example is if you are a HR SaaS business, you should create potentially an ebook on the study and the prevention steps to reduce employee churn. So similar to what I talked about with the gifts, but just going into more effort, having guest speakers, having HR experts, having someone that's giving their insight into hybrid working and the quiet quitting phase that's going on at the moment, and just giving some real insights that no one else has given before. Turn that into an ebook and get people to download that ebook. And then finally, if you're a fintech SaaS business, create a webinar with guest speakers on B2B grants and funding. So get an expert from HMRC to talk about grants, have an expert from someone with talking about the business crisis at the moment with the energy costs, and do a 1-hour webinar with speakers that are not doing this stuff regularly, something that people couldn't get access to before without you. Just create something really valuable that's helping people solve their problems on their own. So how to promote your mini product. You should be using your gifts content to promote your mini product. So if we go back to the gifts, so for example, within your blog posts, you'd have a banner promoting your webinar. At the end of your videos, you should promote your strategy call. So you give a video with a quick tip, and at the end of the video, I'd love to invite you to a one-on-one strategy call with me. At the end of your social media posts, you can promote your ebook. Maybe in the comments, maybe you give a really good tip in your LinkedIn post, and then in the comments, the first comment you say, if you like this tip, you might be really interested in this ebook, where I give a lot more information, a lot more detail about it. And now your funnel is really starting to flow. So creating marketing campaigns to promote your mini products is important too. So Google ads to promote your mini products, social media ads, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn ads, use retargeting ads that we're going to touch on later, social media organic content, so posts, infographics, Personal branding outreach. So I talked about personal branding earlier. Get as many people in the business as possible to send messages to as many of their connections as possible, inviting them to this webinar, inviting them to download this ebook. Just get everyone in the business that's, to help you promote this product and launch this product. Email newsletter promotion, and then asking your sales team, like I mentioned earlier. Those are great ways to launch your mini product and get as many people as possible to engage with it. Now, nurturing. So this is the final piece of the funnel that we're going to talk about. The 7-hour rule. A lot of you marketers would have heard of the 7-hour rule before. The 7-hour rule is for the average buyer to feel comfortable buying from you, they need to spend a total of 7 hours with you over 11 different interactions in 4 different locations. Now, that may seem like a lot, and that certainly is a lot to do on your own manually, but that is supposedly what you need to achieve before someone is ready to buy from you. So how can you do that with marketing? You can do that with sequences and automations to get those numbers racked up so that when they do eventually speak to a salesperson, that they're already at the sort of 5-6 hour mark and they've already engaged with a ton of different content. So when they speak to the salesperson, they're pretty much there. That's the job of any good marketing, is that by the time they get to sales, they're already sold. And you can achieve that with some really strong nurturing. So you can create sequences. So a lot of you will be on HubSpot. A lot of you might be on Salesforce. Any decent CRM will have automation sequences. You can do a lot through email automation like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign. But once you create this sequence, this can then automatically kick off through all of your prospects. So for example, when the user signs up for a mini product, they download something or they sign up to something, on the thank you page, you can put a video for them to watch. It can be a video of the founder, maybe talking about what they're going to learn in the webinar, or maybe diving a little bit deeper into a specific problem, or maybe talking about the industry experience that they had. So that can rack up some extra time that they're engaging with your brand. After they've downloaded it or signed up to the mini product, they receive an email. It can be an email from the founder saying, thank you for downloading this mini product. And then you can give them links to case studies on your website. Maybe you can paste a testimonial in the email itself, and also a link to book a call. So you're giving them multiple different options to engage with your brand further. As long as it's GDPR compliant, you can add that user to your email newsletter. So if you can create a weekly email newsletter that is sending more gifts out to people every single week. So if that person stays in the nurturing phase for a number of weeks or months, they're going to receive multiple emails from you, multiple touch points, videos, gifts, infographics, ebooks, which again, is just more and more touch points. And the fourth one, a user can be retargeted with a case study video on social media. So if you've got things like the Facebook pixel installed, or you've got the correct LinkedIn tracking system working, you know when people have visited your website, you know when people have engaged with some of your previous LinkedIn ads, and then you can specifically send those people another ad, which might be a case study video about how you did this amazing result for a similar client to theirs, and that can be posted on your ad channels. The fifth one would be the user to receive another email from the founder, again, adding value. So not doing those annoying sales emails, just giving them value. If you know that they enjoyed one of your webinars or they enjoyed one of your ebooks, then they're probably going to be interested in something else, more gifts, more value, more content that you're sending them. As long as it's good, genuine content, then they are going to want to receive that. They can obviously unsubscribe by clicking on the button if they want to, but if you're creating really good content that is about their niche, it solves their problem, then they are going to want to receive that, and it's just another touch point with your brand. Then you can do another retargeted video on social media. So let's say they've been on your website, they've received an email from you, they've received a case study video that they've watched on social media, and you know that they've watched it. So you send them a retargeted, another video. You know that they're quite far down the funnel now. They've had a lot of touch points. Now you can start to sort of push the sales button a little bit more and just post a video to them, inviting them to book a call with you, inviting them to book a strategy call one-on-one, inviting them to have a demo with one of your team. And it's great because you can create that video and you don't send it to everybody where you're wasting a ton of money because all the leads are cold. You're only showing that video to people that have engaged with your brand before and you know that they're in the funnel. And then finally, the seventh piece is a direct email. So they're quite far down the funnel now. So you can send a direct email saying, you know, thank you for engaging with our content. We hope you've enjoyed some of the content we've sent you over the last few weeks. I'd love to book a demo with you. Here's some of the results we've had for similar clients. So you can start to be a bit more direct as you get a bit further down. Okay, making the funnel flow. Rethink how you use ads. You've probably used ads in the past to little success, like I talked about at the top of the webinar. Stop selling your main product. Stop trying to get people to go from cold to buying immediately. You should be using the ads to make the funnel flow. So the goals of your content ads should be to boost your gifts and to grow your brand awareness. So a lot of the problems that you might be thinking back when we're talking about gifts is that maybe you don't have a lot of engagement at the moment. You don't have many followers on LinkedIn. You've only got, you know, a few tens or a few hundreds. And if you post a gift, it won't get any likes or engagement. So what's the point? If you put a little bit of money into ads, you can get those gifts seen by a lot more people. And that's a great way to grow your followers and grow your engagement. So that's where we put our ads. You're not going to get an immediate ROI return on that ad because it's unlikely someone's going to consume a gift and then go on to be a customer straight away. So you need to kind of get rid of that mindset of every single ad spend dollar or pound must result in an ROI. Use it to widen the top of the funnel, get as many people as possible to have heard of you. Then you should also be using ads to drive prospects to your mini products. So if you're promoting ebooks, webinars, scorecards, ads should also be promoting people to your mini products. So again, it's like no exchange of money or very little exchange of money. And then using ad budget to retarget people, like I talked about on the previous slide about retargeting people. So like we don't create any ads here at Rocket SaaS asking people to buy our packages or asking people to sign up to our anything that's expensive or our core service. We only use our ad spend to promote gifts and to promote the mini products to get people into our funnel. It's that top layer of funnel where ads is really effective because ads are becoming so much more expensive. LinkedIn ads are through the roof. Facebook ads are getting more and more expensive all the time. Google ads is crazy expensive now. Every industry is just saying how it's going up and up and up. So it's just not going to be sustainable to use ads. To start promoting to the bottom of the funnel activity. It needs to be used for more top of funnel. So a quick slide on retargeting. I could do a whole workshop on retargeting. It can get quite complicated and quite techy, but I haven't got time to do that today. I think I've gone through enough things today, but certainly go away and research retargeting if you've not used it already or you're not familiar with it. But essentially, it's when a user comes onto your website, for example, they visit your site and there's maybe the Facebook pixel or the LinkedIn tracking code. So it's like a cookie, it picks up, it knows that you visited the site. So when you leave the website and then you're browsing something else, like you're browsing another website or you're browsing through social media, you see an ad from that business on that platform. So I'm sure you would have all had it before. It's very common in e-commerce. You're like looking at a pair of shoes, you leave the website, the next day you see this pair of shoes everywhere on different websites. That's what retargeting is. And you can use that to get people to come back onto your site, and then that circle can keep going, and then you will eventually generate that lead. It's more touch points with that client. So I think there's lots of nuances to this. The best form of retargeting is where there's multiple layers. Like you have one broad video, then a video that's a bit more specific, targeted just to them, like a case study, and then a very targeted one, let's book a demo together. And the great thing about retargeting is you're not wasting this spend by showing it to all these cold leads that are just never engaged with you before. Okay, so summary. I think we're coming to close to the end. We've got a few minutes left. So summary of what we talked about today: creating gifts, leading to mini products, nurturing those leads with automation and retargeting, and then using ads to make that funnel flow. So I hope you've learned a lot today. In terms of next steps and how you can implement a lot of this strategy into your business to develop your marketing funnel, to generate more leads, Number one would be to begin to apply these processes yourself. So whether it's yourself that's creating this content, whether you've got a team, whether you need to employ a new person to support you, or you use people like freelancers, so graphic designers and web developers to help you create this content, you can obviously start to create this strategy yourself with what you've learned today. Or you can book a free one-on-one strategy call with me. So I do 5 of these calls per month where I work with B2B SaaS businesses on how they can improve their marketing funnel. We talk about your pain points, where you are now. We talk about where you want to be. We talk about your previous campaigns you've done. We talk about your ad spend, your social media. We talk about any opportunities that you might have in the market. I look at your website and look at any of the conversions. Do I understand what you do? So it's a free one-on-one bespoke advice call. It's 45 minutes long. And then at the end of the call, I write up a report which gives you tips and advice and steps on how you can improve that business. And it's totally no obligation to do that call. If you'd like to apply for one of those calls, if you go onto the Rocket SaaS website, rocket-saas.io, then there's a link in the top right-hand corner of our website. It says free marketing strategy call. If you fill out that form, I will review it. And then I'll be in touch and we can schedule that call. And the third option would be to work with an agency to support you in creating this content and this strategy, like my agency, Rocket SaaS. So everything that I've taught you today, that is what we do for our clients. So we work together with myself and you and our senior marketing team. We create a strategy for you. We create that funnel and that whole flow and process. And then we go away and we create the gifts, we create the mini products, and we create the promotional activity around it. And we work on getting that funnel flowing. The packages are on a rolling monthly cancel anytime subscription. Most of our competitors will make you sign up for 12 months. That is a signal of our confidence in how good we are. It's a rolling monthly package, very little risk. And our packages start from £3,000 per month, which is more affordable than hiring a new employee. So that's my little sales pitch at the end. If you're interested in 2 or 3, go onto our website, or you can pop me a message on LinkedIn, and I'd love to chat. So I did waffle on a bit longer than I planned. So we have a bit of time for some Q&A. Let me just see here. I think we've got some questions here. It'd be great to receive a copy of the webinar. Yeah, that's fine. We will be sending a copy of the webinar to everybody on this call. So we're going to stick it on, I think, a private YouTube channel, and then we're going to email everybody probably tomorrow with the recording. So I'll be sending that over. And then another question here. If I need to get started somewhere, what content would you recommend? So yeah, I get asked this question a lot. If you've got relatively limited resources, if you're like a one-person marketing team or you're a relatively small company and you want to get started with some form of content, then I'd recommend video. I think in terms of getting the quickest results, particularly on LinkedIn, most B2B SaaS businesses, LinkedIn is the main platform. So yeah, video content, it gets the most engagement. It adds that personal touch. If you sort of empower it with the personal branding side of things as well, that's very, very powerful. So you can get it on your social channels and your company social channels and your personal channel, and that just shows that human touch, and that will get the most likes, that will get the most comments, and that is, I would say, the best place to get started in terms of getting quick results. Things like blogs, more of a slow burner. Blogs are great for creating those initial ideas, and they're very good for SEO, which is obviously a very long play. But yeah, I think videos is probably my recommendation for the best place to get started. Number 2, a question here. Demand generation advises us to ungate everything. What are your thoughts on this? So I love demand generation. I'm a big fan of Chris Walker and everything that he talks about. And I think demand generation, where you ungate everything, where you just give away ebooks and webinars and as many things as possible for just no exchange of data, is a bit of a sort of utopian world that hopefully marketing will get to. But at the end of the day, if you don't generate leads to your business, you're going to lose your job. And you basically need a business to be totally on board with demand generation for it to work. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to struggle to kind of show progress and show leads. And I also think that demand generation has potentially gone a bit too far in one direction in terms of totally ungating everything. I think if you're creating something that's truly valuable, I think a good mindset to be would be, if I'm willing to pay money for this, then it's okay for it to be gated. So this workshop, for example, hopefully you guys have found it really insightful and interesting. And if you had paid £20 or $30 for it, you would have thought, yeah, that's good value. And that's a good kind of indicator to say, yeah, I can gate it because it's that valuable. Someone would have parted money with it. So I hope that answers that question. What ad budget should I have? Typically, sort of £800 or $1,000 is a good ad budget to start with. Ad budgets can get sapped away very quickly if you're promoting it in the wrong place. But I think yeah, if you're boosting content, you're promoting gifts, those mini products, around about $1,000 a month is a decent budget to get good brand awareness going on LinkedIn and Google Ads. Right, final question. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking at the postman. Do you use tools to schedule your content? Yeah, we do. We use Hootsuite. Buffer is another one. We don't use that, but I know a lot of our clients use that. So it's when you're creating content, it's very hard to be able to post it every single day because you're busy and things get away from you. So yeah, using systems like that to schedule and automate posts so that you can maybe spend a Monday creating 10 posts and then stick them into Hootsuite and off they go throughout the next few days or even weeks, and you can just forget about it for a while. It is a great systematic way to create content. There are certainly reports that if you use these systems on LinkedIn, you get a lower engagement. So if LinkedIn's aware that you've used like a bot system to schedule your posts, and LinkedIn doesn't like that because LinkedIn wants you to be on the platform. It wants you to be engaging. So you do get fewer, like a lesser algorithm, you get punished a little bit and you get less engagement and less likes. So I always say with like personal branding, if you can post it yourself manually, that's better for engagement. But I think yeah, depending on your kind of resources and timescales, then I think it's okay to use it on particularly company accounts. But the real focus should be on the quality of the content, not so much on trying to hack the algorithms. That's my advice. So, well, I hope you have enjoyed the call. That brings us right to the end. Yeah, like I said, I will be sending this out to everybody via email. If you want to get in touch with us, that one-on-one strategy call, go on our website, pop me a message on LinkedIn, and hopefully see you soon. All right, have a great day.